The stars at the edge of the galaxy were quiet. Too quiet. For thousands of years, no ship had ever entered this dark region, a stretch of frozen space known as the Silent Expanse. There were no planets, no light, no life. Just emptiness until today. Across the black horizon, something appeared. A formation of metal shadows gliding through the void. One single human fleet. From a distance, it looked small. Too small. The alien sensors caught its arrival instantly. On board the Zeran Empire's command vessel, Commander Vrathul watched the holographic map flicker. His yellow eyes narrowed as he saw the readings. Only one fleet, he hissed. Humans send a single fleet into our border? How foolish. Around him his officers laughed. The Zerans had crushed entire civilizations. They had burned moons and shattered planets. To them, humans were new, loud, proud, and weak. Prepare the war cannons, Vrathul ordered. Erase them before they even speak. But before his crew could respond, the tactical officer froze. Commander, they're ships. They are not responding to scans. Vrathul turned. What do you mean, not responding? They appear normal, then vanish. Then appear again. So our radar can't lock onto them. The bridge grew silent. The laughter stopped. The humans were not moving fast. They were just blinking in and out of existence. At first, the Zerans thought it was a cloaking trick, but the data made no sense. Their sensors showed massive gravitational ripples, as if space itself was bending around the fleet. Vrathul frowned. Impossible! They do not have such technology. The science officer shook his head slowly. Commander, whatever they are doing, it's not a cloak. It's like they are not fully here. The alien crew stared at the hologram. The human ships floated silently, without formation, without movement. Just waiting, no signals, no lights, no life signs. Yet the Zerans could feel it, the presence. Something heavy, pressing down like invisible gravity. Vrathul clenched his clawed hand. All cannons online. Fire when ready. But just as the order echoed across the deck, the entire alien ship trembled. The lights flickered. One by one, the monitors went dark. What? Commander, our systems are shutting down. Communications offline. Weapons offline! Outside, the alien fleet of 100 warships suddenly found themselves blind. Engines hummed in confusion. Pilots shouted over dead comms. Then came the voice, soft, calm, human. This is Earth Command. Observation complete. Commencing Phase 1. The message repeated once, then silence. Every alien heart froze. Vrathul's second-in-command whispered, "They were watching us?" The commander gritted his teeth. Phase 1? What does that mean? Find their signal source. Impossible, sir. It came from everywhere and nowhere. The sensors flickered again, showing brief flashes of light, like lightning behind glass. Then nothing. The humans were still there, but no one could see them. Aboard one of the Zeran destroyers, panic began to rise. Engineers reported strange magnetic interference. Computer screens showed strange human symbols looping endlessly. "Commander, we're being hacked!" shouted the technician. "They're inside our systems." Vrathul slammed his fist on the control panel. "Cut power to the network." The bridge went dark for a second, lit only by the emergency glow. When the lights came back, something was wrong. Every ship around them, every ally, had changed position. No one had moved. No thrusters fired. But somehow the entire fleet was now miles apart, drifting in random patterns, like toys scattered by an unseen hand. "What trick is this?" Vrathul whispered. A cold dread crept up his spine. For the first time in his long military life, he felt it. Fear. He looked again at the radar. The human fleet was gone. No trace, no signal. And then slowly the voice came again, this time right inside his ship's main channel. "Do not resist." Every alien froze. The voice was neither angry nor loud. It was calm, patient, certain. "Do not resist. You are being observed." Vrathul felt sweat bead on his scales. "Who are you?" he demanded. "Show yourself." No answer. Then, on the front screen, static began to form. Out of the white noise, an image appeared, a human face, pale and unreadable, wearing a dark uniform. The figure spoke, "You stand at the edge of forbidden space." "Leave now." The image vanished. Vrathul roared, "Fire all weapons!" Nothing happened. The gunners shouted, "Weapons control not responding." He slammed the console again. "Manual override!" Still nothing. The alien flagship was paralyzed. Every weapon, every thruster, every piece of machinery was under someone else's control. And in that frozen moment, the aliens realized they were not in battle. They were inside something, a bubble, a trap, a cage made of folded space and human will. Outside, the darkness shimmered faintly, like a mirror of stars. Something vast moved beyond sight. For the first time, Vrathul understood the human message. This was not a fight. It was a warning. He looked to his officers. None spoke. None dared. The commander stared into the silent void and whispered to himself, "Only one fleet." He looked again at the empty sensors. How many more are waiting in the dark? The final seconds of the recording showed the alien flagship drifting slowly through the blackness, surrounded by the faint outline of invisible ships, human shadows bending the stars around them. And as the screen faded, a final transmission was detected across the Zeran network. Phase 1 successful, awaiting further orders. Then nothing. Silence, just the quiet hum of the endless void and the growing fear that humanity had become something far beyond what the galaxy imagined. The Zeran fleet hung motionless in space. No engines, no comms, no sound except the low hum of broken power cores. Commander Vrathul stood at the center of his dark bridge, surrounded by flashing red lights and the stench of burnt circuits. Hours had passed since the human transmission, yet no one dared to speak. Finally, one of his officers broke the silence. "Commander, should we retreat?" Vrathul turned slowly. "Retreat from one human fleet." His voice was deep, shaking. "No, we will not run. Find their ships. I want their exact coordinates." The officer swallowed. "So scanners are offline. We have no readings." "It's like they disappeared," Vrathul growled. "Nothing disappears. Everything leaves a trace." He stepped closer to the main screen and stared into the black void. The stars shimmered faintly, bending and twisting as if reality itself was melting. "Report the condition of the fleet." "Half of our vessels have lost power," said another officer. "Navigation is unstable. Gravity generators are fluctuating." A spark burst from a nearby console. One alien jumped back as smoke filled the air. The ship was dying, but no one could tell why. Vrathul's second-in-command, Lieutenant Kren, walked up beside him. "Commander?" "We have never seen technology like this. They didn't attack us. They humiliated us," Vrathul interrupted. His claws clenched tight. "And they want us to be afraid." A whisper spread across the bridge, a soft mechanical hum that wasn't coming from the ship. Everyone turned toward the sound. The main holoscreen flickered back to life on its own. Strange human symbols appeared, rotating in a spiral pattern. The alien crew could not read them, but somehow they felt the message. It wasn't a language. It was a warning pulse, a vibration that echoed deep in their minds. One engineer collapsed, clutching his head. "They're inside our neural network," he shouted. "Cut the interface!" Kren ordered. The ship's AI screamed through the speakers, then went silent. Total darkness again. Vrathul's heart pounded. He could feel it. Something was watching them, not through screens, not through sensors, but directly. Far away, deep in the human command ship HSS Vindicator, Commander Elias Ward observed the chaos through a quiet holographic display. He didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. His voice was calm, almost tired. "Target fleet destabilized. Begin Phase 2 observation." The human officer beside him nodded. "Sir, Zeran Command is panicking. Their subspace transmissions are leaking into the open channel." Ward folded his hands behind his back. "Good. Fear spreads faster than war." He looked out the window at the distant alien ships, tiny specks trapped in the invisible cage of the Specter drive. "Sir," another officer said softly, "should we disable their flagship?" Ward shook his head. No, they need to live long enough to understand what they've just met. Back on the Zeran bridge, panic grew louder. "Commander!" Gravitational distortion increasing. Shields collapsing. Engines won't start. The alien ship groaned like a dying beast. Outside, the stars began to warp, pulling into curved lines, light bending unnaturally. The science officer screamed, "They are folding space around us!" Vrathul grabbed him by the shoulder. "Explain." "It's like they are creating small wormholes. Everywhere. Tiny rifts surrounding our fleet. We can't detect them, but we feel the gravity waves." Vrathul stared in horror. "That's impossible. No race has ever—" "Commander!" A young officer shouted from the rear console. "Our missiles just vanished." "What?" "We fired automatically during the system glitch, but they're gone. They didn't explode. They just disappeared." For a moment, everyone froze. The entire fleet's weapons had been erased, mid-flight, as if time had swallowed them whole. Then the human voice returned, calm, cold. "Do not resist. This is your second warning." The aliens froze again. The voice wasn't loud. It was almost gentle, but its calmness made it even more terrifying. Vrathul shouted at the comm system. "Who are you? What do you want from us? Speak." Silence. Then static. Then a whisper. "You are being studied." The bridge filled with murmurs. "Studied? What do they mean? Are we an experiment?" Kren looked at the commander. "Sir, we have to leave now." Vrathul looked torn between rage and fear. "No, we are the Zeran Empire. We do not run from prey." He looked back at the screen, but his voice trembled. "Prepare the warp jump." The technician shook his head. "We can't, sir. The jump coordinates are scrambled. Every exit point collapses as soon as we set it, then use manual override." The technician tried. The screen blinked red. "Access denied." Everyone stared. Vrathul whispered, "They locked us inside our own space." On the other side of the void, Commander Ward watched. The human fleet remained perfectly still, drifting like ghosts. He spoke quietly, more to himself than to his crew. "They still think they're in control." His first officer asked, "Sir, what if they fight back?" Ward's eyes narrowed. "Then they'll learn what the Specter drive truly is." He paused, then added, "But not yet. Let them fear the silence first." In the alien fleet, confusion turned to chaos. A few ships tried to flee on impulse thrusters, but each time they vanished from sight, leaving no trace behind. "Commander!" Kren shouted. "2 of our cruisers are gone." "Destroyed?" "No, sir. Just gone." The screen flickered again. A human message appeared in glowing white text. "You have entered restricted space. Do not return." The alien crew stared at it, speechless. Then the message changed. Just one more sentence. "This is not an invasion. This is containment. Containment." Vrathul's mind went blank. He whispered to himself, "Containment of what?" Outside, the Zeran fleet floated inside a faint blue haze. From far away, it looked like fog wrapping around them. But to the humans, it was something else, a gravity field woven from dark matter threads. Inside that field, time ran slower. Thoughts felt heavier. Even fear felt deeper. For the first time in Zeran history, an entire warfleet was trapped. By silence, no explosions, no lasers. Just quiet terror, and far away on Earth's hidden command moon, Admiral Rhea Donovan received a simple coded message. Phase 1, complete. Alien fleet contained. Awaiting authorization for next move. She looked at the message for a long moment, then whispered, "Let them wait in the dark. The galaxy must learn fear first." As the screen faded, the last image showed the alien commander staring into the void, his eyes wide, his pride shattered. While distant human ships glowed faintly like ghosts in the starlight, humanity had shown no weapons, no aggression. Only control, and that was what made it terrifying. Far away from the trapped alien fleet, hidden inside the cold light of a dying star. A single ship floated in silence. Its name was HSS Vindicator, the command ship of Earth's most secret fleet, the Specter Division. Inside its command bridge, everything was calm. The hum of engines was soft, almost like breathing. Holographic screens glowed with faint blue light. The crew moved quietly, focused, emotionless. At the center of it all stood Commander Elias Ward. His face was calm, his eyes sharp, reflecting the endless stars outside the window. His uniform was plain, no medals, no ranks. Only the symbol of the Specter Division, a single white circle, split by a black line. He watched the hologram of the Zeran fleet struggling inside the dark matter field. Every move they made, every signal they sent, was displayed in perfect detail, Ward said quietly. They still believe this is a battle. His first officer, Lieutenant Mira Chen, replied, "Sir, the aliens are trying to warp out." "They're failing again," Ward nodded slowly. "Good. Let them understand that their science means nothing here." He turned to another officer. "Casualty count?" "None, sir. We've disabled 78 ships. No confirmed deaths." Ward looked relieved. "Keep it that way," Mira hesitated. "Commander, permission to speak freely?" "Go ahead. Why are we holding back?" "The Zerans attacked 3 of our colonies last year. They killed thousands. The Council would approve full destruction." Ward looked down at his hands for a long moment. "That's exactly why we don't destroy them," he said softly. "They already think humans are savages. I want them to see what mercy looks like, power without blood." He walked toward the main observation window, where the stars stretched like rivers of light. "Humanity's greatest strength," Ward continued, "isn't our weapons. It's our patience." The bridge fell quiet. Only the low sound of the ship's pulse engines filled the air. Ward pressed a control key, and a section of the hologram expanded. It showed a small sphere, a reactor surrounded by energy rings, glowing faint blue. The officer at the console looked nervous. "Sir, the Spectre drive core is fully active. Output at 2.8 teraquantums, stabilized." Ward nodded. "Good. Maintain the shadow field. The Spectre drive, humanity's most dangerous secret, wasn't just a weapon. It could bend space-time, fold light, and hide entire fleets inside the shadows of reality. Only 7 ships in existence carried it. Each one could vanish from the universe completely, untouchable, unseen, and unstoppable. Humanity had built them after the siege of Mars, when the Zerans nearly wiped out the colonies. Billions had died, but humanity had survived, and it had learned. Ward turned back to Mira. "Do you know what the Zerans called us after Mars?" She shook her head. "They called us the Ashborn. They said we rose from our own ashes." He gave a small smile, but there was no humor in it. "They were right." He pressed another control. The hologram changed, showing the alien mothership. "They think we're here by accident," he said. "They don't know we planned this for years." Mira frowned. "Years?" Ward nodded. "Since the day they burned Lunar Colony." He remembered it clearly. The screams, the fire, the endless silence after. He had been a young lieutenant then, one of the few who escaped the massacre. That day, humanity made a silent promise. Never again. Suddenly, one of the officers spoke up. "Commander! We're receiving a signal from the alien flagship. It's weak, but it's coming through." Ward turned. "Patch it in." The speakers crackled, and the deep voice of Commander Vrathul echoed through the bridge. "This is Commander Vrathul of the Zeran Empire," the alien said, his tone full of restrained fear. "Identify yourself, human." Ward stepped forward, calm as ice. "This is Commander Elias Ward of Earth's Specter Division." There was a pause. Then the alien voice spoke again. "You are using impossible technology. This power, it defies our laws of physics." Ward's expression didn't change. "Your laws are not the only ones that exist. You have no right to trap us here." Vrathul shouted. Ward's tone remained steady. "You entered human territory. You brought war to our worlds. You destroyed Lunar Colony, Zeran Commander. Do you remember the children who burned there?" "Silence." The alien voice lowered. "You seek revenge." "No," Ward said softly. "I seek balance." The transmission cut. Mira looked at Ward. "Sir, do you think they'll listen?" Ward stared at the dark space beyond the window. "Not yet. But they will." He turned to his crew. "Prepare the second message. Low frequency, non-lethal burst. Make sure their sensors pick it up." The officer nodded. "Yes, sir." "Transmission ready?" Ward said. "Send it." A deep vibration passed through the Vindicator. The Specter drive pulsed once like a heartbeat. Across the void, every Zeran ship shook. Their systems lit up with streams of unknown code. Strange human words appeared across their screens. Humanity does not seek conquest. Humanity seeks peace. But peace does not mean weakness. Inside the alien flagship, Vrathul stared at the message in disbelief. One of his officers whispered, "Commander, are they gods?" Vrathul growled, but there was fear in his eyes. No, just monsters who learned mercy. Back on the Vindicator, Ward turned away from the display. He looked tired, older. Mira asked, "Sir, what happens now?" Ward replied, "Now we wait. They'll call for help. Their entire empire will come. That's when they'll see the truth." "The truth, sir?" Ward looked out into the void, his reflection flickering in the starlight. "That we are not hiding because we are afraid," he said softly. "We are hiding because they are." He looked at the stars one last time before giving his next order. Begin Phase 3. Preparations. Keep the fleet cloaked. No one engages until my signal, the officer confirmed. "Phase 3 ready, Commander." Ward nodded, then whispered to himself, "Let them think they've survived." The lesson isn't over. The camera pans out, showing the vast blackness of space. The alien ships trapped like insects in amber, and far behind them, the ghostly shimmer of the human fleet, silent, invisible, patient. The Vindicator faded into shadow, leaving only one faint echo behind. Phase 2 complete. Humanity watches. Space was no longer silent. It was alive with pressure, energy, and fear. The Zeran fleet drifted helplessly inside the strange blue haze that surrounded. Them engines were still locked, weapons were cold. Communication channels filled with static. No one could escape. And no one could understand how, Commander. Vrathul stood on his bridge surrounded by flickering lights and trembling officers. Every sensor showed the same impossible reading. Space itself was bending around them like liquid glass. He could feel the air, getting heavy as if something invisible was pressing down on the ship. He looked at his crew and growled, "Where are they? The humans. Find them now." But no answer came, only the deep mechanical hum that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. Then the stars around them. Shifted light stretched, twisted, and folded in strange patterns. Every alien eye stared in horror as a ripple of blue light passed through the void. For a brief moment, the shape of a massive ship appeared between the stars, then vanished again like a ghost. The communications officer shouted, "Commander, energy spike." Right above us, Vrathul turned toward the viewing screen, his heart pounding. From the darkness, a human dreadnought slowly faded into sight, its hull black as midnight, its engines burning cold blue fire. It made no sound, it made no movement. It just hovered like a shadow that refused to die. The alien crew froze. No one dared breathe. Vrathul whispered, "Impossible. One ship cannot disable a fleet." But deep inside, he knew this was not one ship. This was something far beyond the human vessel, moved without thrusters, its motion smooth and unnatural. The space around it rippled like water, following every shift of its hull. Then the alien sensors screamed, massive energy surge. Every ship in the Zeran formation began to shake as invisible. Pressure waves slammed into their shields. No weapons, no visible attacks, just pure force. One Zeran captain cried out, his ship's power core collapsing into darkness. Another shouted that gravity itself was tearing at the hull. Then a sudden flash. A cruiser on the far edge of the formation folded in half and vanished without explosion, without debris, just gone. The fleet broke formation, panic spreading like fire through the comms. Some tried to flee on manual thrusters, others begged for orders. Vrathul shouted, hold your lines," but no one listened anymore. Across the chaos, a calm human voice echoed through every open channel, soft and controlled. "This is Earth's vanguard. You have violated restricted space." The voice rolled through every deck like thunder, yet no one could trace its source. It was not a transmission, it was a vibration in the air in their minds. The aliens felt it inside their bones. Vrathul screamed into his mic, "Identify yourself," but the voice did not answer. Instead, a pulse of light spread across the void, slow and bright, like the dawn of a new sun. Then all sound vanished. The alien ship stopped moving, frozen mid-space. No alarms, no screams, just silence. Even the lights inside the bridge dimmed. To a faint glow, outside the fleet began to burn, but it was not fire. The ships glowed with a strange, pale light, every metal surface shining as if wrapped in energy. One by one, systems shut down. Engines, weapons, sensors, everything inside the darkness. Of their command bridge, the aliens could see shadows moving across their walls, shapes of human ships flickering like reflections on water. But every time they turned, there was nothing there. The science officer whispered, "Commander, this is not war. It's extermination." Vrathul said, "No, it's something worse. This is a demonstration." He turned to the main screen and saw it again. The human dreadnought floating quietly in the center of the chaos. Around it, hundreds of smaller ships flickered, in and out of sight, each one silent and cold. The Specter Fleet had revealed itself at last. The dreadnought's front panels opened slowly, revealing a vast glowing core swirling with white energy. Every alien in the fleet held their breath, expecting a final strike. But no weapons fired. Instead, the voice returned. "You have seen a fraction of our strength. Leave and live. Return and none will remember you ever existed." Then the core released a wave of blue light that spread across the entire battlefield. It passed through every ship, every body, every system, and left nothing destroyed. When it was over, the alien fleet drifted freely again. Engines restarted, weapons rebooted, but the power readings were gone. Every war system had been wiped clean as if erased by a god. Vrathul stared at the readings, disbelief in his eyes. "They let us live," he whispered. Why, his second-in-command trembled beside him. "Maybe because they want us to tell others." Vrathul looked out into the fading light, where the human dreadnought once stood. It was gone. The Specter Fleet had vanished again into the folds of space. Only a faint whisper remained echoing through their systems. "This is Earth's vanguard. Do not return." The commander fell silent, his pride shattered, his mind unable to understand what he had witnessed. He knew the Zeran Empire would demand answers, but what could he tell them? That humans had power beyond logic, that their ships moved like ghosts, that they could erase fleets without firing a single shot. He turned to his crew and spoke quietly. "Record everything and send it home. They must know what waits for them beyond this border." As the message transmitted through space, the alien fleet turned slowly, limping away from the forbidden zone. Behind them, the stars shimmered faintly, as if something vast and hidden still watched from the darkness. And deep within that darkness, the HSS Vindicator waited silent, unseen. Commander Elias Ward stood at his window, eyes fixed on the departing ships. He whispered to himself, "They will tell their empire, they will warn them, and the galaxy will finally start to fear the name of humanity." Then the Specter Fleet folded back into the void, and the stars returned to silence. Firestorm complete. Phase 4. Ready. The stars around the Zeran fleet were quiet again, but it was not the peaceful silence of deep space. It was the silence of fear. Ships drifted damaged, powerless, some leaking vapor trails that looked like ghostly smoke in the darkness. The once proud war armada of the Zeran Empire floated like broken toys beneath the shadow of something they could not understand. Commander Vrathul sat in his command chair, his claws trembling against the metal armrest, his eyes staring into the void where the human dreadnought had vanished. No signals, no energy readings, no trace, only emptiness and the echo of a human voice still ringing in his mind. "Do not return." His officers whispered around him, their voices shaking. "What are they?" How did they do this? Why let us live? Vrathul did not answer. He had no answers, only questions that clawed at his mind. He looked down at the tactical display and saw that every weapon on his ship was gone. Not damaged, not destroyed, simply gone. Erased from existence. The humans had taken their ability to fight and left them alive to remember. He whispered to himself, they wanted us to see this. They wanted us to know. The communications officer called out a faint transmission coming from deep. Space Commander Vrathul looked up. Play it. The screen flickered and a human figure appeared once more, the same calm voice that had haunted them before. This is Commander Elias Ward of Earth's Specter Division. We did not come to conquer. We came to remind you what happens when peace is ignored. The alien bridge fell silent. Ward continued, his words measured heavy, each one carrying the weight of 1,000 lost souls. Years ago, your empire brought war to our colonies. You destroyed Luna. You burned our people alive, and you called us fragile. We learned from the ashes. We built in silence. We waited. The voice faded for a moment, then returned softer, colder. Now you have seen only one of our fleets. One. Remember that. The transmission ended. For a long time, no one spoke. Then one officer whispered in horror, only one fleet. The words spread through the ship like poison, far away in human space. The HSS Vindicator hovered above a crimson nebula, its hull glowing faintly in the reflection of dying stars. Inside, Commander Elias Ward stood before the main window, watching the light fade from the distant Zeran ships. Mira Chen approached quietly, her expression uncertain. They're retreating. Sir Ward nodded slowly. Good, let them carry. The message. Mira hesitated, then said quietly, you really mean to let them go after everything they did to us? Ward's voice was calm, but there was pain hidden deep within it. We could have destroyed them easily, but destruction teaches nothing fear. As he looked out into the endless void, his reflection faint against the starlight. They think they've seen power, but they have only seen control. True power is knowing when not to use it. The crew around them remained silent, listening as their commander spoke like a teacher more than a soldier. After Luna, humanity changed. We learned that mercy is more frightening than death, because mercy means we could have ended them and chose not to. That thought will stay with them forever. Mira looked at him a long moment, then said softly, you were there, weren't you, at Luna? Ward's eyes darkened. Yes, I was. I saw the sky burn. I saw families crushed under the firestorms. When the Zerans left, they thought we would collapse. They thought they had broken us. He paused, his voice quieter but stronger. They forgot that humans don't break, we rebuild. He turned to his officers, set up a secure transmission to Earth Command message code, Phase 4. Tell them the demonstration is complete, the aliens. Understand our reach. The communication officer nodded. Transmission ready. Sir Wood spoke clearly to the recorder. To Earth Council, the Specter Division has revealed its presence to the Zeran Empire. Their fleet was neutralized without casualties. All systems erased as intended. Recommend next phase to proceed under Shadow Protocol. Humanity is ready for the next step. He ended the recording and walked to the window again. The stars reflected in his eyes like tiny memories of every lost colony. Meanwhile, on the Zeran homeworld, deep within the Imperial War Chamber, the High Council listened to the recorded data from Vrathul's fleet. The room was silent as the hologram showed the human dreadnought phasing in and out of space and the blue wave that erased their power. When it ended, none spoke for a long time. Then one elder finally said quietly, they didn't destroy us because they didn't need to. Another counselor whispered the humans were supposed to be weak, and yet they can command. The laws of the universe itself. Fear spread across every face. For the first time in thousands of years, the Zeran Empire truly felt smallback aboard the Vindicator. Mira watched as the holographic display showed hundreds of alien signals retreating into deep space. She asked what now. Sirwood took a deep breath, his voice calm, steady, almost sad. Now we wait. They will tell the galaxy, they will tell everyone what humanity can do, and then the galaxy will stop seeing us as prey. He paused a moment longer, then added, quietly, but we must remember why we built this fleet, not for conquest, not for revenge, but for survival. The bridge was quiet. Only the hum of the Specter drive filled the air, a deep heartbeat of light and gravity. Ward placed his hand on the glass. We show them power so that we never have to use it again. Outside the window, the stars seemed to flicker as if bowing to the silent fleet hiding between dimensions. No one in the galaxy could see them, but everyone could feel them, and in the dark. Voice channels of space, a whisper spread like wind through metal corridors and static fields. One fleet, only one, and it was enough. The void of deep space trembled as faint signals rippled through every corner of the galaxy. Fleets halted trade routes, froze, and thousands of worlds turned their eyes to the stars. A message was spreading faster than light, faster than fear itself, a message born from silence carried by the ruins of pride and the whispers of survivors. They said the humans had returned. They said one fleet had erased an entire armada without firing a single shot. They said the name Specter on. The Zeran homeworld, entire cities gathered around holographic towers as the images played again and again. The dark human dreadnought surrounded by blue energy and the voice that spoke without emotion. You have seen only one of our fleets. The Emperor himself sat in his throne chamber, claws gripping the armrests as his advisors trembled before him. His voice deep and slow. What are they? No. One answered, because no one knew far across the stars. In the hidden command citadel orbiting Saturn, the human council watched the same footage in silence. Around them, the air shimmered faintly from the energy fields that powered the station commander. Elias Ward stood at the center, his eyes cold yet calm. Madam Chancellor reported softly transmissions from 47 alien systems, all asking for communication terms. Ward nodded quietly. It begins. The Chancellor looked uneasy. We frightened the entire galaxy. Ward turned his gaze toward the stars beyond the station window. Fear brings peace. For now, that's enough. But deep in his voice there was something else, something heavy. A weight that only soldiers carried. He whispered to himself, peace built on fear never lasts. Mira Chen entered the chamber holding a datapad. Sir, the Specter Fleet is fully cloaked awaiting orders. Ward looked at her and asked, status of the beacon. Active. Sir, the message is ready. For broadcast. Ward stared at the console before him. He remembered Luna, the flames, the screaming, the silence. He remembered the promise humanity made in that smoke, never again. He pressed his hand on the activation pad, his voice low but strong. This is Commander Elias Ward of Earth Spectre Division. To all civilizations monitoring this channel, hear us. The signal spread through the stars, carried on gravity waves faster than any known technology. Across alien worlds, across neutral zones and pirate systems, the message appeared like a ghost in the sky. The image of Ward appeared in every language, every signal, every mind. This is not a threat. This is a truth. Humanity does not seek war. We do not seek control. We seek survival. You brought destruction to our world. You erased our cities. You called us weak. We rebuilt, we evolved, and we learned what it means to stand alone against a galaxy. He paused, his face calm, his eyes unblinking. Now we stand not as conquerors, but as a reminder. Do not cross our border. Do not bring war to our home. For what you saw was not vengeance. It was restraint. The stars behind him glowed brighter, the faint outline of the Specter Fleet visible for just a moment before fading again. "We will not strike first, but if you come again, you will never return." The message ended in silence. No explosions, no music, no warning, just silence. Across the galaxy, leaders and soldiers sat frozen in disbelief. Empires argued, rebel groups panicked, pirate factions vanished into the void. And deep within the Zeran throne chamber, the Emperor rose slowly from his seat, his voice a whisper heavy and cold. "Prepare our fleets. The universe has changed." His advisors looked horrified. "Sire," they said, "we cannot fight them." The Emperor's gaze was distant. "Lost somewhere in the stars, then we must learn how to survive them." Back at the Spectre Citadel, the council chamber lights dimmed. The broadcast complete, Ward turned away from the console and looked toward Mira. "It's done," he said quietly. "Now, the galaxy knows," Mira asked softly, "and if they still come." Ward's expression was unreadable. "Then we remind them again." He walked to the viewport, watching as the fleet outside shifted its formation like a school of silent shadows, moving through lightless water. Every ship glowed faintly for a moment, before vanishing into the folds of dimensional space, the Specter Fleet disappearing once more. Humanity had shown its power and then vanished like smoke after a storm, leaving only whispers and fear hours. Later, in the quiet of his quarters, Ward stood alone looking out at Saturn's rings, shimmering under distant sunlight. He thought of Earth cities, rebuilt, oceans, cleaned skies, bright again. He thought of the promise made by those who survived the fire. "Never again," he whispered softly to the stars. "They'll think we're monsters, but maybe that's what peace needs sometimes." He closed his eyes for a moment, breathing slowly as the stars continued their silent dance. Behind him, the intercom. "Buzzed Admiral, message from the outer colonies. They request protection under Spectre command." Ward smiled faintly. Humanity united again under one flag. "Good," he said, "tell them the fleet is watching." And somewhere out in the endless dark, 100 ships shimmered faintly between dimensions, invisible, untouchable, unstoppable guardians of a peace built in the shadows. The final message had been sent. The galaxy would never forget the name humanity again. The galaxy had gone quiet again, but peace in the galaxy never lasted long. It never did. Months passed since the Spectre Fleet revealed itself to the stars, and humanity became a shadow that every empire feared. Trade returned, borders calmed, fleets withdrew. But beneath that calm, something old had started to move, something that had been sleeping far longer than any empire could remember. It began as faint static in the deep space relays beyond the Orion Rift. A whisper of code so ancient that even the machines could not read it. At first it was ignored, a ghost signal among billions. Then it repeated again and again, until someone finally answered. Deep in the command core of the Spectre, Citadel alarms began to echo through the halls. Mira Chen rushed to the control deck, her eyes wide. "Sir, we're detecting an anomaly in Sector VZ-01 coordinates beyond the Rift Commander." Elias Ward looked up from the holo map, his voice calm but sharp. "Show me." The screen filled with black static, broken by flashes of white code symbols. "Unknown, moving too fast to translate." "It's not Zeran, not any known language," Mira said quietly. Ward leaned closer. "That's not language, that's architecture." "Old code," the technician spoke from the side. "Signal origin unknown, but it's coming from outside mapped space." Ward froze, his voice lower than before. "Outside mapped space." "You mean the dark?" The technician nodded. Ward stared at the signal as it pulsed across the screen. Each pulse stronger, brighter, until the lights in the command room flickered. Then every screen turned black, and one phrase appeared in blood-red light. "We remember." The room fell silent. Every officer stared at the words glowing in the dark. Mira whispered, "Who remembers?" Ward's voice was steady, but his jaw was tight. Not who what. He turned to the tactical display. Bring the fleet online, full cloak, standby formation Alpha 6. Mira hesitated. Sir, the fleet just returned from shadow operations. They need recovery time. Ward's eyes did not move. This is not a war. It's a warning, and I think it's for us, far beyond the edge of known space, where stars died and gravity tore reality apart. A shape began to form, vast, larger than any ship or station. It shimmered like broken glass, floating in the dark energy. Waves rolled from it, distorting space and time. Inside the Specter command, the sensors screamed, unable to measure what they saw. Ward watched the readings spike off every scale humanity had. He whispered softly, "This can't be real. That thing is older than our sun." The science officer spoke, trembling. "Sir, it's not biological, not mechanical, it's both. Something ancient, maybe pre-galactic, maybe the source of the signal itself." Mira's voice cut through the chaos. "Sir, message coming through. Directly into our comms. No encryption, no origin," Ward said. "Put it through." The bridge filled with a low, deep hum. Not sound exactly, but vibration. The air felt heavier. The lights dimmed. Then a voice came, not through speakers, but through their minds. "Cold and endless like stone in the void. Children of Earth, you carry the fire we left behind." The crew froze. Ward's pulse stopped for a moment, his mind racing. "Who are you?" The voice answered. "We were before. Your kind walked your world before your sun. Had a name. We shaped the paths you now travel. We built the gates you fear to enter, Ward. Whispered the architects, the old legends." The voice continued. "You have awakened our memory with your shadow fleet. Your power bent the laws we wrote. Now the balance must be restored." The ship began to shake as if space itself was breathing. Every system flickered, every light dimmed, until only the voice remained. "You call yourselves Specters, but you are not the first, and you will not be the last." Then silence again. Signal vanished, leaving nothing but the empty sound of static and the quiet panic of the crew. Mira looked at Ward, her voice shaking. "What does it mean?" Ward stood still, his face unreadable. "It means the ghosts that built the galaxy are awake. And they're watching us now." He turned to the helm. "Recall every Spectre ship, every command node, every sleeper satellite. Bring them online. We're not facing an empire. This time we're facing our makers." The fleet began to mobilize engines, whispering to life as dimensional drives hummed. Across the void, ships vanished into folds of blue light, forming in silence like shadows preparing for the unknown. Ward walked to the viewing glass. Watching the stars stretch around them, he spoke softly, almost to himself. "Humanity survived monsters. We defeated empires. But what happens when the gods return? Outside the window, the void trembled. A thin line of white light appeared across the dark horizon, then another and another. Dozens of massive shapes emerged from hyperspace, ancient vessels, glowing with patterns older than time, their surfaces alive with symbols moving like rivers of light. No weapons, no communication, no sound, just silent. Arrival. The Specter Fleet faced them across the endless black. Two legacies staring at each other across eternity. Ward whispered to Mira, "Send this to Earth Command, priority code Omega. The architects have returned. Initiate dark protocol. Humanity is not alone anymore." Mira sent the transmission, her hands shaking. Ward stood silent, eyes locked on the ancient fleet. "Whatever happens next," he said quietly, "will decide the future of every world in this galaxy." The human ships began to rise, forming a wall of light against the endless dark and between the stars. The old and the new stared into each other's eyes, waiting for who would speak first. The voice returned one last time, soft, quiet, almost kind. "Children of fire, prove you are worthy of the stars you claim to we protect." And then the universe itself held its breath.